It's a fascinating story of Hitachi Data Systems. It's a $2 billion mainframe storage devices company in Santa Clara. And these guys, again, it's the same story. They have created a thing called a consumer advisory panel, I think. It's called a CAP or something like that, yeah. They get hold of their top customers and ask them to describe how their future looks like. Now, I do some work with 3M, and one of the things we did with the healthcare division of 3M was this. We got hold of their top 4 or 5 customers, the top ones, who give them 30-40% of their business, and got them to describe what they thought their future was. So, if you like, these hospitals and healthcare institutions spent a whole day, and each of one of them came at different times of the day, spent the whole day with us, telling us what they had as a strategy for their future. We then took this data and worked the next 3 days to devise a strategy that would meet the strategy of our customers. It was like saying, dear customer, we are willing to become what we have to become to help you become what you want to become. And I'll repeat that. We are willing to become what we have to become in order to help you become what you want to become. This is a partnership. This is not transaction anymore. It's a relationship. It's dialogue. It's rapport. It's learning from one another and really saying, let's row the boat together. That's what I mean by learning from customers. So that's how a customer advisory panel works. And, even the agenda, they develop it together. Can you imagine? I mean, of course, you've got to be careful how you select your customers, for which you need to know your customers well, what's new there. And remember one thing, this is not a sales call. You don't try and, sell stuff to customers at this meeting, otherwise they will never come back to you. So you use it purely as a joint process of discovery. Yesterday I was at a retail business in Tallinn. I was talking about moving away from experience-based thinking to exploration-based thinking. And learning from customers is about exploration. It's not about relying on what I already know, but on humbly admitting that there is a lot I don't know, and tying up with customers to say, then please tell me, let me learn from you what you need, and then build a business model that will fulfill, hopefully, those kind of outcomes. So it has really helped HDS do some fantastic stuff. They give special preference to these customers. They get first access to new equipment that comes out. They call speakers from outside to stimulate thinking and to bring about exploration. It's all about saying, what are the new areas that we can look at? Because remember one thing, the creation of wealth, the creation of new wealth has to come from creation of new services. Existing services can rarely create new wealth. So you're required to create new services to be able to deliver them and then get new wealth. So, that's the way they work. As I said, they treat them with very special opportunities to try out their equipment, etc., etc. Now let me come and spend a little bit of time on measurements. Very often we find that what we measure is not what our customers are really looking for. We did some work with a company that produces powder coating, that you use on ships and things like that to prevent rusting and all that. Very simple. For them, the delivery time, from the time the order was received and until the order was fulfilled, they had one world view of it. So they said, we fulfill our customer totally satisfied 90% of the time. So 90% of the time, we meet the customer's requirements, no problem at all. So we said, oh, very good. can we survey your customers? When we surveyed their customers, we found that even 20% didn't agree that their requirements were met 90% of the time. So we presented the facts to the customer and said, listen, this is what you say your customers think, but this is what your customers say they think. It's a big gap between the two. Now, why was it happening? Probably because of something like this. The company's suppliers started the clock when they received the order and stopped when the goods left the dock. But imagine what the customer did. For him, the clock started ticking when they recognized the need and stopped when the product was received and put to work. Now, you might ask, Sam, I can't go into my customer's brain and find out when he requires, when he feels a need. I'm saying you can. The way to do it is to spend a day in the life of your customer. If you spend time with your customer, you will begin to understand. It's very much like a relationship outside of work, how, you're able to sort of second guess what your significant other or what your child or what your parent is going to want or expect or how they are going to respond. It's a bit like that. It's a bit of going beyond saying, okay, please send me a note and I will act upon it. That is fine. That is to complete the legal or the less important part of the business. The more important part is to understand, to be able to second guess, the customer is probably talking about this. This is what I mean by saying how you find out when they need. If you know their business processes well enough, chances are that you will be able to figure out as quickly as they won't figure out the need, and you can tell them. And this is what Procter & Gamble and Walmart did, with the Pampers. And I'm not going to give you that story now because that will take another half hour. But really speaking, the success of Pampers through Procter & Gamble's Pampers through Walmart was purely because Procter & Gamble took away the burden of Walmart finding out when they would require replenishment. So Procter & Gamble knew when Walmart's outlets required Pampers before Walmart found out. And they started saying, listen, we will supply you the Pampers on time. And it's a phenomenal thing. Those of you who are in the retail business, you can understand the significance of this. The retail is cash, right? So the Pampers, the moment it is sold, the money has come into Walmart. Walmart hasn't even paid Procter & Gamble for it, for the Pampers. You understand what I mean? So it's really speaking, your cash flow is completely changed. Why do you think today Walmart is the world's biggest company? $240 billion sales. It's because of this closeness, measuring the right things and getting into serious partnerships with their providers.